Remember, this show is available on both YouTube and Spotify. And before we begin, a word from our sponsors. This podcast is powered by the Mitt TV of Romeo, Michigan. If you're looking to start a podcast for your business or personal use, look no further than the Mitt TV. They can get you access to equipment, a production engineer, and even edit your podcast. That's all right here at the Mitt TV of Romeo. And you can contact them right now via email at mitt.tvromeo@gmail.com. That's mitt.tv@gmail.com. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Romeo Sports Recap Show. And in this show, we have Romeo Varsity head football coach Kurt Reines. And Kurt, welcome to the show. And just would like to start out by asking you, how the heck did you get involved in coaching, and how'd you get here?
Yeah, I went to Romeo, and I was a three-sport athlete, and I just really always looked up to my coaches, and sports were such a big part of who I was growing up and learned a lot of great life lessons. I went off to Grand Valley to play football, and at that time thought I always wanted to be a college coach, and was already in track to be a grad assistant when I was done, and I ended up having a career-ending injury and just got me to kind of rethink some things. And at the same time, my fiance was teaching and coaching at Romeo, and Julie Markham, the principal, called me up and just said, would this be something we could convince you to come back for? And, I always had so much love for this community and, what it meant for me that I jumped at the opportunity to come back and kind of put the college coaching to rest. So,
well, having college coaching experience and playing experience is probably a big advantage for you, as you probably see some things out there that maybe somebody who's never played sees. What position did you play in college?
My first 2 years I played linebacker, and then I played defensive end the next two.
And you came back and got involved with the Romeo High School football program. I think when you were first here, there was a dual coaching with Mr. Couch.
Yeah, my first year back, I was the JV football coach with, actually, Terry Youngblood was a new hire here at the same time, so we were the JV coaches. And then the following year, Paul Murphy had to step away, and so I replaced him as the defensive coordinator on varsity with Greg Ganfield. And then Greg retired, and Jason and I were high school teammates, and we took the job as co-head coaches in, I think, 2003.
And it worked out pretty good for Romeo, because if you look at your record since 2003, it's well above 60% winning. So it really kind of took off, and you guys have established quite a winning tradition since then in 2003 for sure. What kind of style of coaching do you like to employ out there?
Well, and one of the big things that we've kind of always focused on is just having fierce competitors and really focusing on the things that we control. You ask our players, we talk about effort and attitude a ton. That's always been something that we feel, regardless of how big or strong or fast you are, that we don't control those. Those are things we're born with or without. And but our demeanor that we do things, we have a say in that. And I think that's been one of the long trademark things of Romeo football from before me even, is that when people were done, they knew they got hit. And that's something that we want, always to continue as part of our DNA here at Romeo.
And the upperclassmen pass that down to the next generation, and it's probably permeates through your junior high school program and the area Little League football, that kids see their idols out there and they're playing a good game of smash mouth football, basically.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we've always done that a lot of programs don't do is we bring a lot of our kids up for the playoff experience. And, they get to contribute. They're not there just to watch. We, as comfortable as they are to get in, so they get a little taste of it and get to see it. And then our players do a great job, like running our youth camps. So I think when kids are real little, they know who Victor Earl and Danny Albert are because they just went to a youth camp with them. So now when they go and watch them on the field, it's not just some guy out there. These guys are their heroes.
There's a connection with them and stuff. What would be in your eyes maybe a top memory or a thrill since you've been coaching at Romeo?
There's a lot of them, and it's funny because I know most people would assume it's the state championship, and we had some teams that I think were as talented and as good that didn't do it. Things have to line up, and some of those things that you don't control have to go your way.
I mean, you talked to Bob Lancey about that.
Yeah,
4 times in the Dome, and just things didn't go his way.
Yeah, be honest with you, some of my greatest memories are of some things that our players have done off the field, and just shows you that we got some great kids in this community, and that's where all of our success comes from, is just having great people. And everything from, we used to do the Susan G. Komen 3-day breast cancer walk to even a situation we lost a teammate late spring, and being at a vigil for him where adults are speechless, they don't know what to say, and to watch some of our players step up and lead a prayer and just kind of rally everybody together. Some of those moments, just I feel a lot of pride, and that that we just have some really great kids that do a lot of amazing things outside of just on the football field.
I thought it was I haven't been here for too long at Romeo, but I did Ian Antonelli and helping out the special needs kids to get them out there on the field to kind of experience, because they will never play varsity football, but to get them to experience the game and teach them a few things. And you could just, you could see the way they gravitated towards the players and how excited they were. And I just thought that was a great thing. I hadn't seen anything like that in all my 25 years of broadcasting high school football.
And that's, a great example. I think when you empower kids and give them, the opportunity to lead and do things. I mean, that was totally on Ian and his teammates to put that together. That was driven by them alone, and it's been going on for a couple of years now. So I know it will continue to go on. But, that's some pretty remarkable things. Those are the things that I really remember the most.
Mm-hmm. And speaking about remembering, little short-term memory here. Last year, you guys were 8-3. You were in the playoffs. The big highlight for everybody around here was that you beat Chippewa Valley twice, and coming back and beating them. But the team was actually pretty good last year. I think you might have got bit a little bit by the injury bug.
Yeah, early on we had a couple suspensions and injuries that all seemed to take place at the same time, and then we had kids that ended up getting COVID and were quarantined, and some other kids sick. So we had one of those losses to a nearby opponent that we would like to think wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for that. But
well, I mean, I'm assuming you're referring to Eisenhower. And I was there at that game, and the guys were up at half. It looked like you were going to just 14-0, and you hit a big play. It looked like it was gonna happen, but they happened to get some. Their quarterback got a little hot there, and receivers made some nice catches for him, and they came back and beat you guys. Otherwise, I think you would have been undefeated still at that time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been something. Well, let's take a look at the schedule for this year coming up. And you open up that first game at the University of Michigan against Caledonia. What can you tell us about those guys?
Well, they were in the state championship game last year, and for a while they were up in that game, and they do return some really key players from that team that are all-state kids from last year and have some Division I football scholarships in front of them. Watching them in the scrimmage, they're very similar. They definitely have a moxie about them where you can tell, they believe in themselves. And so they're a good football team that, believes that they could be a great football team again.
And then after that game, and that's Friday, this Friday, the 25th at University of Michigan. The game starts at 3:30. Is that any disadvantage for you to have it start at that time?
I don't think we've been practicing at that time just to prepare for it. So I don't think,
Not a big factor.
no.
After that game, you go down into Roseville, another away game. The Panthers usually have some pretty good athletes on their time.
Yeah, they've been really talented the last couple of years, and I know they have a lot of guys, returning on their roster. So it'll be another good test.
And then again on the road, Sterling Heights Stevenson down there at Runkle Field is always a hard place to play when you have to play them at their house. And they get some good athletes there.
Yeah. They led by a really talented quarterback down there, and they have some really good pieces around him. So,
and then you come home, and the home opener is against Eisenhower. And you guys, have you circled this one as a revenge game?
No, I mean, more than that, it's our watchdog game, which is a really big game for us because we're playing more than just the game of football. We're representing people on the back of our jerseys who have fought the tough fight with cancer. So, and I think it's going to be really cool that it's with them because there's already been some competition starting and how much they can maybe pledge to raise towards the money versus us. So there's some
all for a good cause.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean. I think that's a community that, our kids all know each other well. They've played basketball and, baseball and everything against each other. And it's,
I can remember playing yard ball with our neighbors, or some of the neighbor kids. And sometimes those were the most vicious and worst. And, a loss in that stuck forever.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're always looking to get back at the guy. But, well, Eisenhower, I'm sure Coach Smith will have him ready to play. And we look forward to that game. I get a little sneak preview because after your game, I'm going to go cover the Oxford-Eisenhower game and see what that's all about and see what happens there. You stay at home and play Anchor Bay. Coach Giannone will always have a squad ready to play. He had some bad breaks last year, but hopefully he'll have a squad competitive this year.
Yeah, they have a really talented junior class. They have 6 or 7 kids that are really special in that class and did some good things as sophomores on varsity last year. So, they'll be a very competitive team this year.
And then you go back on the road to play Dakota, who you lost in the playoffs to. Playing at that field is always a little something different there. They've got the big speakers and the big announcers, and the crowd's always full there. Your guys don't get intimidated by that, though.
No, not at all.
How do you think they're going to be as opponents this year? They're not picked to win it all, but
yeah, I mean, I don't really know much about their returners because they were, I think, 20 of their 22 starters last year were all seniors. But their JV has been really good the last couple of years, and their last year's JV was one of the better JVs I've seen in a long time. So they definitely have talent, and they have the numbers. So they'll always be very competitive.
And then you got to stay in that side of town for the next game, Chippewa Valley, and I'm sure that they have circled the game against Romeo as revenge games after you've beat them twice last year. They are picked to win the MAC Red. They've got an excellent veteran quarterback in Schuster, who's coming back, and a couple of nice players to help anchor that squad. What do you fear the most about going to Chippewa Valley?
I mean, I don't fear anything about going to Chippewa Valley.
I mean, what concerns you? I guess.
At this point in the season, it's still so early just to even see what teams' identities are, and I really think the MAC Red this year, the margin between a first and a last place team in the Red is going to be really, really tight. So I don't think that anybody's going to go off and blow anybody's doors off. It's going to be, I think, one week somebody will surprise somebody, and then the next week somebody's going to beat that team.
Yeah,
so.
Sometimes that happens in the MAC Red, and it's it makes for an interesting race. It's almost I kind of equate the MAC Red to the Big Ten. They go and they beat themselves up, and then they got to go into the playoffs.
Yeah,
and this style of football that they play anyway. Grosse Pointe South comes into Barnabo Field for game number 8. You were down there last year, I believe it was.
Yep.
playing on that field, which is not a difficult field to play on. Just from a physical standpoint, it's not very well kept. But you're going to have them out at your place. What kind of game do you expect out of them?
I mean, they always play a really solid brand of football. They don't make mistakes. You know, they're not going to beat themselves. You're going to have to beat them, and they always play us really tight. So I would think it's going to be a good football game.
And then you have Grand Blanc coming in. You beat them last year at their place. What's it going to be like? I mean, do you think it'll be different when they come to your place?
Yeah, I don't. They lost some really talented kids, but they have a bunch of really talented kids back. That coaching staff was new last year, and I think they're still kind of, trying to find what their identity is. So I'm glad we're home.
Well, that's good, and then that's a good thing. Let's talk about this year's team, and you got a change at quarterback. Jaden is no longer here, but his replacement.
Yeah. Caden Burrows is a senior that's really stepped up this summer and has looked really good early on at the quarterback position.
What do you notice different in him? I know he played a few games last year at quarterback, but what do you notice different from him in practice this year?
There's an intensity and a focus about him that wasn't there last year. Not to say that he was satisfied with his role last year, because I don't think he was, but he gets on other players for making mistakes and demands the best out of them, and he's very driven right now. So
I tell you, just seeing him a little bit in the red and white game, and you guys played him a little bit there, but what I noticed was different was his release. Releasing the football, how much quicker it was. I don't know if it was a snap of the wrist or what that changed, but he looked a little quicker out there.
Yeah, he throws with a little different arm slot now, and I think there's something about just being confident, which leads you to be relaxed, which also keeps you loose. And
yeah, I mean, going in there scared, wetting your diapers is not a way to be successful. Who else is going to help him on offense?
Well, that's one of the areas this year we've kind of changed our offense, because we do really like our skill players. Victor's going to be a 4-year varsity player, which outside of kicker, we haven't had anybody in the past do that. So, and he can really do anything. He can play receiver, running back, you name it. Jake Watson returns at tight end, which was a big contributor last year. Yeah, big target. And him and Caden really connect. So if Caden gets in trouble, he's always looking for him. DJ Phillips had a couple really good games with us last year before he got injured.
How is he feeling?
He's doing good. Ben Turner, had some really big games last year. Dakota at home had a really big game. And we've seen some really good things out of him. And then we have a couple other receivers who have been really battling, and our most years would be starters and the best receiver on our team. So we really like that group. How do you get everybody the ball and keep everybody happy? That might be a little bit of
one ball.
Yeah. The offensive line has got a lot of talent on it, but we've changed schemes, so everything's just new for them. And it's going to take probably a couple weeks until we really hit our stride. But, they're a group that we're happy about. So that's kind of what we're looking at with our offense.
I remember the offensive line, going back to that. We used to have some pretty huge guys on that offensive line. And so I was up in the press box watching the red-white game, and I noticed, I go, wow, these guys aren't that bad. I mean, Murphy's bigger than these guys, and I went down there, and they're not that small. But I imagine with not being so big and bulky and stuff, I imagine they got pretty good foot speed.
Yeah, all of them are very good athletes. So
yeah, 25 years watching Bob Lancey teams, and he didn't really have a lot of big guys there, but they were all quick. They're all little Bob Lanceys that would come and just hit you and be annoying.
Yeah.
But the quickness we found on the offensive line, you just need to get in front of somebody.
Yeah.
And if you have the foot speed to do it, you could do it and be successful. So I'm imagining that this is the type of offensive line you're going to have this year.
Yeah, I think that they're going to move well in space. They're probably a little better geared for pass protection than maybe some of the players we've played in the past, and pulling our guys quite a bit. So they're very athletic.
Let's move on to the other side of the ball on the defensive side. Really impressed with the way the kids, at least the little bit that I saw, how they go to the football, how quick they are to get to the football. Tackling, won't know until we see a real game, but I imagine if it's the Romeo tradition, they will be able to tackle and hit you. Describe a little bit of your defense and maybe who might be a standout there.
Yeah, I still think on the defensive line we lost the majority of our guys that played last year. Gavin Wardowski did play some there and is really the only kid coming back that had any significant time last year. And, he's a tough, aggressive kid. We definitely got to find some of we've been happy with our junior class, have some pretty solid linemen in, kind of seeing how those guys will step up. Our linebacker group is probably the deepest position group that my coaching career had here. Like the talent from top to bottom is really good. I think we probably have 5 linebackers that most years all 5 of them would be our starters. So we really feel good with that group. So it's how many different places can we play them and have most of them on the field at once. So you'll see us play a lot of linebackers, and we'll probably have fewer D linemen in than maybe some years in the past. So.
And defensive backs, you've got some seniors that are coming back on the defensive backfield that played pretty well for you last year. Who else you have back there?
Well, Owen Youngblood and Darren Miller both rotated as kind of like our third safety in last year, and they're both playing safety. And then we have a young up-and-coming star and Alex Kelly, who's a junior that is a 6'4" safety that covers a lot of ground. So we feel really good about those guys, and we have a couple other juniors that are starting to emerge. At the corners are really a lot of our receivers turn over and play that same position as well. So it's going to have to be a combination of Joey DeBaldo started a couple games at corner, and DJ started a couple games, and Turner played a few games at corner as well. So there's a handful of those guys that will rotate through. I think early on is going to be how do we manage their reps so that we keep whoever's on the field fresh. But excited about that group,
Good. One thing I wanted to mention is, special teams can play a big part in winning games and in your program as well. Last year you had a freshman kicker. And now he's a sophomore, and so is he kicking this year? And how is he doing?
He's doing really good. He's put probably 20 feet of height on his kick and put some distance on. And Anthony Marisi was our other kicker last year, who's really dedicated himself to punting this year and has done a really good job with that. So.
I remember a couple of times you had him in there kicking some big field goals. I thought, man, that freshman has got to be all tightened up, man. But he blew through it. It was good to see. And of course, I got all them big guys hugging him. It's not gonna break him, I thought, but no, that was good. It was a good fun year last year, like you say. The real blemish game you want to have back is that Eisenhower game with a full complement of players. I was going around telling everybody that. So, well, they got a lot of guys hurt. It's like, you don't know what you're talking about. Well, I do because I'm there. But it'll be fun to see that rematch, and we have to wait till September 15th to see that one. But we got to get past Caledonia first.
Yeah.
And if we can get past them, I think you'll know what kind of squad we have here. Well, Kurt, I appreciate you taking time coming out here and talking to us on the Romeo Sports Recap. We hope to have you back again later in the year as things progress. Hopefully we don't have to call in Murphy and Palmatier and Greg Gamfield to talk about the old days.
You might have to have somebody monitoring the explicit button with that group.
The beep,
you might
beep.
have to beep a bunch out.
Well, we are podcast, so I don't think we're not like under network violation, but appreciate you coming down. Best of luck to you. And let's bring back some victories here for Romeo and maybe a title in the MAC Red.
Sounds good.
All right.
Thanks for having me.
Yep.
Bye.
Before we continue here on the Romeo Sports Recap Show, a word from our sponsors. This podcast is powered by the Mitt TV of Romeo, Michigan. If you're looking to start a podcast for your business or personal use, look no further than the Mitt TV. They can get you access to equipment, a production engineer, and even edit your podcast. That's all right here at the Mitt TV of Romeo. And you can contact them right now via email at mitt.tvromeo@gmail.com. That's mitt.tv@gmail.com. Now, back to the show.
Today, I am excited to welcome varsity football teammates. We got Victor Earl and Danny Albert to the show. Thank you guys for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
So we'll start off by talking about last season. Finished with a 8-3 record, which your previous season, the 21-22 season, was 9-2. So pretty similar records there. So do you want to tell me a little bit about last season? Any games in particular that stood out to you guys, defining moments for the team?
I feel like last year, our first game, we did pretty good, beat Oxford. We started connecting first 4 weeks, and then came to Dakota, and then did pretty good there. I think last year our team overall was really good, and unfortunately lost in districts to them. But I feel like we have a better chance this year than we did last year.
Yeah, it was definitely a fun season for sure. It was kind of sucked losing to our rivals, Eisenhower and of course Dakota, but came real close those games, and as Coach Reines was saying, had a couple of injuries throughout the season, so definitely impacted our season a little bit. But overall, thought it was a fun time. Like the upperclassmen at the time, they definitely made the season more enjoyable for sure.
Yeah, and that was, you both had been on varsity before last season, right?
Yep.
So was your experience any different, being maybe your second season, third season on varsity, or?
I feel like the game slowed down a little bit, like a lot more than my first few years on varsity. But I feel like other than that, it hasn't really changed much.
And you were both upperclassmen at that point too. So did you feel maybe like a newer role with any of like the sophomores, freshmen on the team? Maybe more of a leadership type of role, maybe?
Yeah, I feel like we have to be more of a leaders overall to encourage the underclassmen and keep motivating the upperclassmen.
Yeah, and then so you guys have been practicing for a few weeks now during the off season, getting ready for your first game on Friday. So what have you guys seen so far in the off season? Any like new additions that have stuck out? Maybe a new way of playing this year?
Yeah, the underclassmen have definitely stepped up for sure. At least in my couple of years playing, I haven't really felt that step up from, like I said, the juniors. But they're doing awesome. They're filling in spots at practice, making sure our starting guys have a good scout to go up against. Definitely been working their butts off all summers and showing up to early morning workouts when I'm sure most people probably don't want to be there. But no, they've been doing awesome, and off season I think definitely will prove some good things this upcoming season for sure.
Yeah, going off of what he said, so I feel like we have a lot of team chemistry this year with our lower classmen, especially. I feel like it's just gonna be another great season overall.
A lot of returning players from last. How many seniors did you lose?
We lost. I don't know exactly how many, but
probably around 15 or so. I'd say maybe I don't know. What do you think? Like 2/3 of our starters?
I'd say so.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's gonna be a new style this year with
definitely some
a lot of new players. Yeah.
Sure.
So we've mentioned it already before, but you got your first game this Friday against Caledonia in Ann Arbor. And have you guys ever played at the Big House before? Have you ever done any of those games? No. Are you excited?
Oh, yeah. I was at the game when Romeo played there, and I think it was 2016, 2017, something like that. And it was awesome watching those guys, just hoping maybe one day that'd be me. And here's my chance. So I'm excited for sure.
No nerves? You're not like...
Not yet.
Not feeling it when you get out there, and then you're like, wow, it's a lot of stands.
Right.
And it's pretty cool, though. That's exciting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then you are spending your first 3 games on the road. And that could be a tough opener. What's the practice like then going into that, prepping to be on the road for all of those games and maybe like less of a crowd,
I just feel like practice, we just got to stay a lot more focused and, like what we got to do overall because on the roads are always tough games no matter who we're playing against, and not having like our full home crowd is a huge advantage or disadvantage. But I just feel like we got to stay focused.
Yeah, I think the demeanor changes a little bit too because you're going into somebody else's house and hopefully beat them up a little bit. So I think the demeanor in practice kind of changes a little bit. Everybody gets a little more focused, like he said, and I don't think anybody's really nervous or scared or anything like that. I think everybody just likes to enjoy the competition.
Yeah, just ready to get started already.
Exactly.
And then you guys finally get to come back home against Eisenhower and your Watchdog game. That's a pretty big home opener with all those factors. You guys looking forward to that game?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I think the passion's definitely always super high. Those Watchdog game, everybody's playing for a bigger cause, and even our opponents, I think they understand that too, and definitely increases the competition, and I think everybody just kind of thrives off of that.
Yeah, I think it'll be more of a high intense game this year because it's one of our rivals also. But I feel like overall it's just gonna be a really great game.
I'm looking forward to that one. That'll be a fun game. So, walk me through the team captain situation on the team this year.
I mean, we definitely got some leaders, some guys who have been playing varsity for a while, and myself and Victor have been playing varsity he's been playing for 4, I've been playing for 3, so we're, I'm not going to say there's no real set captains each game, but definitely guys who step up that week. I think everybody deserves to be a captain. I mean, we got some big powerhouse guys for sure. Coach had mentioned Gavin Wardowski. He's a real fierce competitor in practice, definitely gets everybody hyped up, and we get another guy in the O-line, Carter Book. He gets to make sure the team is having fun while we're still staying focused. That's always he's always a fun guy to hang out with. And Ryan Raleigh, he's been playing in the varsity for 3-4 years now, and he's definitely one of the captains for the defense for sure. But definitely got some guys, some strong leaders on the team, and I'm excited to see what they can help everybody else do, push everybody to be better. So
right.
I like that. I like that you don't have any set ones. Right, everybody's given their chance to like step up at different times, and that helps for years going forward, right? Because maybe you see some young lower classmen start to step up, and then you've got leaders for when they're upperclassmen. So I like that philosophy that you guys got.
Absolutely.
So you're both seniors this year. So you want me to tell me your post high school plans?
Go ahead. Big commit.
Yeah.
I'm going to play football at Central Michigan University.
Congrats.
And studying business. Thank you. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Are you excited?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I've always been a big science and math guy, so I'm probably gonna major in engineering. Haven't quite narrowed it down yet, but been looking at some engineering schools. Purdue's on my radar for sure. Haven't really thought about playing college football. It's not really a huge goal of mine. So opportunity presents itself, I guess.
Well, Purdue has a good football environment, so I
don't think I'm quite there yet.
Yeah.
But, definitely.
You'll have good games to watch. It'll be,
absolutely.
It's so fun. You can come back. You can come back to Romeo and you get on the sidelines, right? So we'll close out. If you guys just want to tell me some favorite memories you've had on the team, or maybe like something you're looking forward to this year.
I feel like one of my favorite memories on the team was probably like when we had like our little locker room dances. We just go in the locker room, play some music, and just have fun. And
is this pregame?
Oh yeah. And then I feel like this year was probably our senior trip we went on. We went up north with the coaches, and then just had a great time there.
Yeah. Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. Definitely, like he said, having fun locker room parties after games, especially after big wins, beating Chippewa twice. Those were fun times for sure. I liked coming up my freshman year for the playoffs. That was fun. Kind of got hit in the mouth a little bit by some of those bigger guys, but a little bit of a wake-up call and kind of prepared me for the next season.
Good learning experience.
Yeah, those guys are a lot bigger than me at the time, so it was kind of good experience, and I'm glad all the upcoming freshmen get to experience that, and I guess now I'm the big guy hitting them. So
now you're the one that they're scared of.
Yeah, hopefully teaching them a little bit and giving them a little more passion for the game.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, I'm excited to watch you guys this year. We'll definitely be out there. So thank you again, Victor Earl, Danny Albert, for joining me.
Thank you for having us.
Madison, we had we did a little bit of road work yesterday, and we're out at the Romeo Varsity boys soccer game, and they were quite impressive.
Yeah. It's a 4-0 victory against Lance Cruz North. It was an exciting game. I felt like Romeo had offensive control for what felt like the entirety of the game, which made it fun. But yeah.
Well, we know that on our last podcast, if you saw that, Coach Vasilevsky said that he was going to be very strong from the defense out to midfield. He wasn't sure what his front line was going to do, and they did fairly well.
They did a lot. They did a whole lot last night.
4 goals is a good game.
Yeah.
They're very impressive. So they're 2-0 on the season.
That they are.
And the big game is Monday against Eisenhower. So maybe we will see what kind of a squad he really has.
Yeah.
At least that's what he said. But did you have a good time yesterday?
It was good. I've never been to a Romeo soccer game before.
And you went
That
there.
was my first Romeo soccer experience.
Ah.
It was, and they won. So
Well, good.
maybe I just need to
Maybe
go
you should
more
go.
often.
You're the good luck charm. You don't happen to remember who scored the goals, do you?
I've got. It might be some brutal pronunciations of the names.
Oh, well, let's pretend this is English class.
We'll go. So the first goal was from number 17, Joseph. What do you think it is? Solage? Something like that. Something along those lines. And the second goal was number 14. Hey, at least I've got numbers, right? They'll know.
Check that Romeo soccer lineup.
Number 14, Michael, again. It's with the J's. The J's are throwing me off. Kamaj? I might be making too much out of it. And then number 20, Philip Ristovsky.
That's an easy one for you.
That one was better. And I think I can do this last one. Number 7, Braden Burke with the last goal.
That's good. And well,
I got 2 out of 4.
I have to look at those names. How you're pronouncing it. Maybe
It
see
might
if I
be
can
rough.
even pronounce
It
them.
might be rough on my end. But yeah, it was a good victory for the team.
But they did good. They're off and running. 2-0, Romeo soccer. And we hope that Romeo football will be off and running. I don't know if you're going to be down there to U of M.
Can't make it. But you'll have the report for me.
I'll have the report for you, and we'll have everything. It'll be an interesting game for them to play down there at the big house.
Yeah.
And,
I think for all of them, that's probably their first time playing at the big house. So.
And it'll be interesting to see how the new offense goes.
Yeah.
And playing a team with 2 All-Staters always worries me anyway.
Yep.
But I think
tough opener.
Yeah, I think they'll have they'll be well prepared, and hopefully we can start the football season on the right note. But it is early in the year. We'll be covering Romeo High School football here on the Mitt TV, so that'll be a fun situation for all of us. We have a few games that we're gonna bring up, and we'll have some players back on the Romeo Sports Recap, some different players, and hopefully I can get some of them old buzzard coaches there to come out there and tell me some stories.
Tell us some stories.
It was funny. Coach Ryan said that they have to get the beat machine so they'll
Bleep 'em out.
there, but I know them for a lot of years, so I'll try to keep under control. Maybe I'll bring a priest in the room so they'll
We'll bring
watch.
our own sensor button.
Yeah,
You
there
can have
you
it
go.
on the table.
Yeah, right on the table. And we got coming up on the next week's show, hopefully the Romeo cheerleaders. What did I tell you they used to call them back in the 1960s?
Something about the pom poms.
Yeah, it was the paper. They used to call them paper shakers. Paper shakers. But there's so much more than that these days. I mean, you wouldn't have a paper shaker do some of the gymnastics.
Yeah, they've got competitions now, and
they lift weights. So
tough business.
I gotta watch my P's and Q's, but hopefully Lori Reines can get it together here. We can have some of those on, and then we're gonna try to get the girls golf team up, and we've got boys tennis. So we got a full packed show. The Romeo Sports Recap, we try to do an in-depth look and a personal look at Romeo Sports, give you guys a little different look at things from maybe the people who participate's perspective.
Yeah. And we have fun while doing it.
We do. And I think that it's going to be a good fall season.
Agreed.
Well, folks, thanks for joining us here on the Romeo Sports Recap. We'll be here next week, hopefully with the cheerleaders. But for Madison Janabet and myself, Tim Meyer, thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in to this episode of the Romeo Sports Recap Show, powered by the Mitt TV. Remember, this show is available on both YouTube and Spotify. You can subscribe to the Mitt TV YouTube page and click the notification bell to stay up to date on the latest episodes of the Romeo Sports Recap. Or you can find us on Spotify and follow our podcast, Romeo Sports Recap. From the Mitt TV, I'm Tim Meyer here with Madison Janabet, signing off with a final word from our sponsors. This podcast is powered by the Mitt TV of Romeo, Michigan. If you're looking to start a podcast for your business or personal use, look no further than the Mitt TV. They can get you access to equipment, a production engineer, and even edit your podcast. That's all right here at the Mitt TV of Romeo. And you can contact them right now via email at mitt.tvromeo@gmail.com. That's mitt.tv@gmail.com.